Hello and welcome. My name is Kyle Nielsen, and this is How You Level Up, a podcast where I ask questions to help you become your best self. Today we ask, what is empathy? While empathy can be described as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person, our resident researcher of emotions and feelings, Dr. Brené Brown, says that in order to empathize with someone's experience, you must be willing to believe them as they see it and not how you imagine their experience to be. This is starkly different than the common description of empathy being putting yourself in another person's shoes. Empathy is multidimensional. It involves cognitive and emotional components. The cognitive side of empathy refers to the ability to identify and comprehend the depth of another person's emotions, whereas the emotional side of empathy entails feeling those emotions as if they were your own. Both of these contribute to our ability to believe, feel, and respond to the emotional states of others. Research on empathy says that believing, feeling, and responding to that emotional state involves non-judgment. More clearly, there is zero judgment in empathy because judgment means that there is a preference, and there is no preference within empathy. In negotiation, emotions can quickly bring the chat to an impasse or an end. So your ability to recognize, understand, and believe the emotions of another is critical in your negotiation ability. And the surest way to recognize someone else's emotions is to recognize and understand your own emotions. So what are some examples of empathy that we can look at? Well, empathy can manifest in the form of active listening, which is just you paying full attention to the speaker, making an effort, a concerted effort to understand. It can take the form of validation, acknowledging the other person's feelings even if you don't agree with or share the same perspective. And it can manifest in the form of body language, which is mirroring the person's posture, facial expressions, or tone of voice to demonstrate solidarity. And you might not even realize it, though this happens without your conscious awareness. So if you are actually experiencing empathy, you'll do all of these things. In thinking about actively listening, validation, and body language, empathy is often confused with other emotional experiences or behaviors such as sympathy or compassion, even agreement or approval. Sympathy involves feeling pity or sorrow for someone else's misfortune, but doesn't entail sharing or understanding emotions. While empathy is part of compassion, compassion is more than just empathy. Compassion also involves a response to the suffering of others. And for agreement and approval, empathy doesn't necessarily mean you agree with or approve of someone's actions or opinions. It is possible to empathize with someone while maintaining your own viewpoint and values. Now, knowing that empathy is valuable as a tool and a skill, it's good to also note that empathy can be draining, especially when it is constantly and consistently activated. Normally, people who constantly and consistently feel empathy are called empaths. Empaths are people who have a strong sense, even obligation, to feel empathy for others. And while their intuition and sensitivity to emotions are normally a result of their childhood, they feel burnout from empathy most often. We often hear about burnout typically related to work because this is where most often stress is generated. Though the burnout that empaths feel comes from feeling empathy for a lot of people and a lot of things. Now, our enhanced technical connection to one another via social media only activates empaths even more because each time they feel empathy for someone over the web, it's a bit of emotional energy that they could have had for the people in their life or themselves. Empathy contributes to burnout in a number of different ways. First, Constantly taking on the emotions and problems of others is exhausting because you already have enough of your own. Empaths might feel anxiety or depression or emotional fatigue, especially if it's part of their regular job. And this is particularly true for people in helping professions like healthcare workers, social workers, or those who are exposed to high levels of stress and trauma. And secondly, empaths can have a lack of boundaries. As highly empathetic people, they may have difficulty saying no or setting limits on the demands placed upon them from others because they feel for others and want to help. This leads to taking on too many responsibilities, which means neglecting your own needs. Empathy is an important interpersonal tool. It is vital for establishing connections with others, for building trust and fostering collaboration. It is necessary to regulate how often and how much empathy you feel. The amount of empathy you feel for your family, a close friend, or an acquaintance does not have to be the same empathy. You can feel different levels of it in response to different circumstances, and you're not a bad person for doing so. And in saying this, when having an important discussion with someone, being void of empathy is also not the right path to clear and effective communication. There is a balance that must be found and felt for the right amount of empathy, appropriate to the circumstance. And sometimes this is set by your boundary. So where is the empathy in your life? Where in your life is there too much empathy that you are giving out? And where is there not enough empathy that you could give? Thank you for listening to another episode. If you're enjoying the show, open up the app you're listening to this on and hit the like or subscribe button and give a 5-star rating. At least twice a week, you'll find a new episode asking you a new question, so you can strengthen your emotional independence, improve your communication skills, and upgrade your personal philosophy. So if there's a question you'd like me to dive into next, send it to any of these social media accounts connected in the show notes here. This is all about how you level up.